They're both seen as potentially very threatening because they are executives with a record who've raised money.
Hello and welcome to the InsTech London podcast. This is Matthew Grant, one of the partners at InsTech London. And in this week's episode, we've got a slightly short one for you because everybody else seems to be off on holiday. But you've got Paolo, Robin and myself talking about some of the themes we're seeing happening in the market, some of the new things emerging in August and what we're going to be getting up to for the rest of the year.
Matthew, Robin, is this proving to be the usual quiet, boring August in EC3?
Well, the fact that three of us are actually sitting together in a room suggests that maybe everyone else is off having fun, but maybe we're the only ones doing some work. But no, I don't think it's boring. I mean, just judging by the news items that we've come across and people we've been talking to about some of the activity out there, I think if anything, people are actually using the time to push out new initiatives, to take time to think about some of the things they want to be doing. And maybe the reinsurance brokers are off enjoying life in the sun, but other people are back here in London doing a whole bunch of stuff, it seems.
Well, I've also noticed an increasing desire to speak about the digitisation of insurance and what that really means. I think that I sense the moving of the tectonic plates. It's not like they're not overdue a move, and I've been sort of prophesying this for decades now, but there are more people now talking about the possibility of grappling with the transition to a true digital insurance model than there have been for a long time. And these are self-fulfilling in the sense that if everybody else thinks that everybody else is going to do it, then they're going to start looking at it. And I sense that's what's starting to happen.
Okay, and we hear, different views of what a true digital model looks like. I mean, Matthew, it'd be good to understand when you're talking with people, what does true digital mean?
Yeah, I think at some level everyone claims they're digital today, but I mean the reality is that you either need to be providing a full stack digital experience or you need to be a company that is providing a component of that can easily slot into other people's components or platforms. And experience has shown for the last 3 years that it is it's difficult and maybe even impossible for an existing insurance company to do that alongside business as normal. And basically the only way to do it is to go out there and launch a new initiative as a greenfield site and make the investment to go and build out the technology, starting at one end of the distribution all the way through to access to capital. I think what's also intriguing is seeing large organizations. We had Hitachi speaking at our event recently on InsurTech as a service, where they have gone out to offer propositions to insurance companies, and they themselves are investing the time to go and find the different components, the different startups and some more established companies that they can actually slot in to their own platform. But I think it's questionable whether an existing insurance company is ever going to really have the ability to invest what it takes to build a full stack digital insurance operation alongside their existing business.
Let's be quite clear what we don't mean by going digital. What we don't mean is sticking little bits of InsurTech on your nasty legacy 1988 policy admin system and calling it digital. We've been using the expression at InsTech London for a while now, digital lipstick on a legacy pig. That's not digital. Digital is start from scratch and build something on Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft technologies and make it truly, truly digital.
Right, but Robin, as you say, you've been sort of saying that's what we should be doing for a long time now, and a lot of people have been nodding and then doing different things. What's different this time? Why do you have this hope? Why do you think the tectonic plates are finally moving?
In my view, there are two big drivers. The first is of course the publication of the Future of Lloyd's prospectus. John Neal has created a sense that he's serious, that he's it's going to get done this time. That's forced everybody to go back home and look to their own environments and work out what all this means for them. Are they going to have to be forced to operate in somebody else's vision of a digital world? How do they respond to that in terms of their internal infrastructure and framework? That's clearly one big influence. And there's another, which is the vast amounts of capital that Stephen Catlin has attracted for his Convex insurer, and the work that Stephen Gill's done on the broking side. They're both seen as potentially very threatening because they are executives with a record who've raised money. They could get the tech choices right from the off. They come without legacy. You don't need to be a genius to work out that they could provide the same services at a fundamentally different cost base. And I think the incumbents find that really quite threatening and have to work out what they want to do about it.
And make the investment. I mean, Convex have raised $1.8 billion. Admittedly, that's capital for underwriting, but that is still people making decisions to allocate money to insurance, and they're also going to have to raise or use some of that money for building out their infrastructure. So the answer to it is you can't do this thing cheaply unless it's through an organisation that is willing to move it more slowly and separate itself. So we spoke to Graham Elliott from Azure Underwriting recently. He's built what he calls his managing digital agency, where they've created a high net worth business that is going to be full stack. I mean, it's almost not quite there, but it's definitely almost there. They've defined a niche but quite large market area, and they're demonstrating that it can be done successfully.
I think there is a nice story emerging that InsurTech is starting to be an influence too. The successful MGAs like Graham Elliott at Azure are raising substantial amounts of money. I don't think you need to be a genius to work out that the best of them will at some point start to raise their own capital. At that point, frankly, they've become digital insurers. They've started at the front end and they've ended up with risk capital and become full stack insurers in taking that route. So I don't think they're yet perceived as a threat, because I think most of them are playing in the more in the B2C space. But InsurTech is starting to be part of the influences over the incumbent world as success stories start to emerge 3 or 4 years in.
Yeah, I mean, it's also one of the trends we're seeing that I think is driving this is some of the what would have been classified as startups, but are now actually starting to generate real revenue. So companies like Floodflash, who I was in seeing yesterday, they have a very simple proposition, which is they will stick a sensor on the sides of a building in a flood area, and their target market is SME and commercial businesses that would either find it really expensive to get flood insurance or just couldn't get it at all. They've now got a proposition which is playing into this theme around parametric insurance. So essentially, when the flood rises to a certain level, that triggers a payment and it goes straight into the business's account. There's no need for any kind of claims adjustment. They've got Everest Re providing their capacity. Everest just want to make sure there's a robust business in place. But what Floodflash have done, which is A, is clever, but B, again, proves you can do this. They found brokers across the country that have actually got clients they want to offer this to, and Floodflash is selling policies ranging from anything from £100 up to £10,000, and they've built a business that has got great potential to scale. So they've proved you can do it, and I think what's particularly interesting about it is that they've actually found a way of solving a problem that something was uninsurable before, and it's often easier. It's still hard to do it, but it's relatively easier to go into a sort of greenfield space for a risk and provide a solution than it is to change something that's already there and has got processes built in place and established relationships. While
you were seeing Floodflash, I'd gone to the other end of the scale and had a chat with Google, and it's becoming increasingly clear to me what their approach will be. They have no intention, I don't think, of playing in the legacy space, of trying to help anybody move from legacy to digital. I don't think they see a revenue model in the transformation space, which they are happy to leave to the big consulting houses. As far as they're concerned, they have a digital model themselves. They are digital. They have digital analysis tools. They have digital trading platforms. They have digital toolkit for anyone who wants to do digital. And it follows, therefore, that the only businesses they intend to engage with, and this applies to insurance as well as anything else, are digital businesses. And as there are, as yet, no digital insurers for them to engage with in the UK, their focus will be on startups, on people who can make use of their digital kit, and concentrate their innovation attentions on them. I think that's quite an interesting story from an InsurTech point of view. Everybody sort of panicked a few years ago about what Google were going to do. Would they enter the space? Would they, become insurers? This is the first time I've seen them declare their hand in what I think is quite a smart move. It's we're digital, we're going to stay digital. Come and talk to us if you've got something cool and digital to talk about.
Good. Thank you, Robin. Matthew, it's clearly going to be a busy autumn. In some ways, the last time it felt like this on the InsurTech front was 3 years ago, when we were sort of going through the first wave of new InsurTech startups. And I think back then, one of the things that InsTech London worked very hard to do was to help its members work out where they should be looking, with whom they should be engaging. And it would be good to understand, I know there's a packed agenda of events for the autumn. What is it that's planned in order to help members work out where are those directions they should be looking for, rather than just being overloaded with all the latest digital insurance news?
Yeah, crikey. I mean, it feels like we're doing something right, because the demand is really high for us to either put on our own events or to help people do things themselves. And all credit to Robin, who's actually got someone to fund a wine tasting event by special invitation only. But if you're a corporate member for InsTech, then you may well be on that guest list. But we've got a couple of things coming up in the early part of the autumn. So 24th of September, we've got what we're calling our reverse pitch, which is a chance for the insurance and some large corporates to actually talk to the community about what it is they want to have help with, what problems they need to be solved. And then on the 22nd of October, we've got another event which is going to bring together Novodea, one of our Gold members, but also with Salesforce, talking about what is happening on this theme around platform. So that should be fascinating to hear how an organisation like Salesforce, which has got massive reach and a great ability to sort of connect with other systems, are working with companies doing things in insurance. We'll be releasing the list later next week, so people can see, and we're already live for our 24th of September event, and as usual, it's filling up quickly. So if you haven't already registered by the time you've heard this, then get out there and click the button, because we hate turning people away at the door.
Matthew, Robin, thank you very much for your insight. We're looking forward to an incredibly exciting, I think, important autumn when it comes to what digital transformation means for the market, and we look forward to meeting with all our members at those upcoming events.
Well, if you enjoyed that and haven't come across the rest of our podcast, I suggest you take a look. You might find something in there that goes into a bit more detail on some of the topics you're interested in. And of course, if you'd like to know more about InsTech, you can find us at www.instech.london. You'll see our events on there and can register for the forthcoming events, and you'll be able to find a schedule of our events for the remainder of this year shortly.